Hello and welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast. As always, we are powered by our friends at Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. If you have any tree trimming, tree removal, or stump removal needs, our friends at Harper's Tree and Stump Removal have you covered. They can haul rock and sand, they can do driveway work, and can now do horizontal grindings of large wood debris piles. Give Keith a call at 229-314-2048 or at 229-938-2412. Harper's Tree and Stump Removal is proud to be the premier sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, and sports administrators. Now, here's your host, Tim Estes.
Hello, and we want to thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Let me encourage you to like and share this video with your friends. We had over 3,500 views this past week, so we want to thank you for that. We're really trying to build our YouTube presence, trying to reach that 1,000 subscriber mark. So please go to YouTube and hit the subscribe button for us. That'll help us out a lot. Our guest today is Coach Hana Haden, the head women's basketball coach at Georgia Southwestern State University. Coach Haden, thanks for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me, Tim.
Hana, before we get into your season, which has been really good, the last time that you and I spoke, you were fresh to Americus, just kind of moved in. And in fact, I think at that time you had not even gotten your apartment. So I'm just kind of interested to hear, are you settling in? Have you built some relationships? What do you think about Americus?
Yeah, I have had the chance to settle in. It's been great. You know, I remember one thing that we spoke about whenever I first came on, and just talking about why I felt like GSW would be such a great fit. And we talked about the people making the place. And that was really early on, right? That was just my impression, you know, whenever I came on campus. But it has definitely been just that. You know, I mean, this athletic department, GSW as a whole, the Americus community. I mean, it's just, I can't say enough just about the people here, you know. So we've got great coaches in the athletic department who are also great people, and everybody is just so supportive. And, you know, they've been great. Obviously, they've been excited for our success this year, but also, you know, we've had a couple tough losses, and they've been, you know, the first people to reach out. And so that's meant a lot. I also want to shout out our church family at Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. My team and I have just kind of taken up residence there, you know, this season. And, you know, so us going there and them coming out and supporting us at our games and stuff, it's meant a lot. So it's been really great.
Hey, a lot of good people over at Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. I know a lot of those folks, so glad to hear that. Coach, your Lady Hurricanes have won the regular season Peach Belt Conference Championship. So far, an overall record of 23-3, a Peach Belt record of 16-2. And Hana, I've often said that the Peach Belt is kind of the SEC of Division II. It really is a tough conference year in and year out. So you've got to be extremely satisfied with the way that the ladies have played and the season you guys have put together so far.
Yeah, I'm really proud of our group. You know, it's just obviously the way that we approached our recruiting, we had this same mindset that we wanted to sustain the success that had been started here, you know. And then it was something that we started talking with the girls about as soon as they stepped on campus. Is like, you know, tradition, it has to start somewhere, but then it also has to be sustained for it to be considered a tradition, right? So it had been started, you know, going to the national tournament the last 2 years and the success that Justin Payne and his groups had. And so then it was our job to keep it going, you know, so that it can develop into a tradition. And we want GSW to be a powerhouse program in the Peach Belt. So just proud of the approach that our team has had. You know, you look at, we have 3 returners that are competing for us this year that, you know, played major roles on last year's team. And then we have all these transfers that were all Americans, all region and all conference players at their previous schools, whether that was JUCO or 4-year. And just to get that that many, new faces together and everybody really having to sacrifice their individual success and individual accolades for the success of the team. I just think it just says a lot about the caliber of people that we have first. We have a lot of talent, but we've got some really good people that they're just winners and they want to win. And that's been more important than, them getting to, have 20 points every game and getting a Peach Belt Player of the Week. We only had one Player of the Week all year, and we were 16-2. And I think that speaks to, the depth that we have and kind of the way that we play. But again, that character piece has been really big, and it's such a huge part of our success.
I definitely want to talk some about the depth on your team in just a little while, Coach. We are talking to Hana Haden, the head women's basketball coach at Georgia Southwestern. And Hannah, one of our sponsors, is definitely a supporter of yours, and that's Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance. They're located at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard here in Americus. You can reach Marty at 928-3686. Drop by and see Marty, Mary Lynn, or any of their fine staff. Hey, they can even do that famous discount double check and make sure you're receiving all of the savings that are available to you. Thanks to Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance for sponsoring this segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast. And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Coach, now that the regular season is complete, you've got the conference tournament coming up and hopefully the NCAA regionals after that. Explain to us how all that works, kind of when it starts, and how you feel your team can compete at that level.
Sure. So first coming up, we have the Peach Belt Conference Tournament, which we've earned the right to host right here at GSW in the Storm Dome. So we're really excited about that. That begins on Thursday. There will be 3 quarterfinal games, happening Thursday, or is that actually 4 quarterfinal games happening Thursday? We will play the 5:00 game against Flagler, who we just played on Saturday. And then you've got the semifinals happening on Friday. And those will be at 5 and 7:30. So as long as we take care of business on Thursday, then we'll play the 7:30 game on Friday. And then you have a 1-day break on Saturday. And the championship game will happen on Sunday at 1:00. And after the Peach Belt play, we hope to be playing in the national tournament. And, then that regional that will take place that following Friday, I believe, will be the first game. And I'm just checking my calendar here. I should know that. But I think that is March 15th. So the selection show will actually happen at 10:30 p.m. on Sunday night of the March 10th. So the day of the PBC championship game. Then later that night at 10:30, we'll have the selection show and everyone will find out their fate.
Hannah, let's explain this a little further. So let's say you've won the conference championship in the regular season. Let's say you win on Thursday, and then you kind of stub your toe and you get beat before the finals. How would that play in with the fact that you've had such a good regular season allow you to get an at-large berth?
Yeah, I would still feel really good about our chances of getting in the tournament just because in the most recent regional poll, we were 3. So, in the top 8 in the region would go. So hopefully, an early exit in the Peach Belt tournament would not cause us to drop out of the top 8 in the region. And we would still be able to participate in the national tournament.
So let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's go ahead and win the whole thing and get there by earning it that way. Hey, one thing that stuck out to me, I got a chance to call your game the other night on YouTube, and that was the first time I'd really seen those girls play an entire ball game all year just due to my schedule and your schedule. Man, I was really impressed with the way those girls played. And here's what surprised me, Hannah. As I'm going through stats, getting prepared for the game, I didn't find that one alpha player, that one player that's averaging 24 points a game or 12 rebounds or something like that. And I start going down your roster and I see that you've got 10 players on this team that are averaging 4 or more points per game. Very, very impressive. Your leading scorer at that time anyway was averaging 12 points per game. This team is deep. They're unselfish. Tell us a little bit about your roster of players.
Yeah, I think that's been our strength all year is that depth that you're speaking about. Jashanti Simmons leads us in scoring at just 12 points a game, which I think is kind of unheard of. And I think it's allowed us to, we play a lot of different combinations. And like you said, we go deep into our bench. And, we've had different games this year. Our starting point guard, Corey Tomlin, missed 5 or 6 games. And I think we won all of those. Jashanti Simmons is our leading scorer. She's missed 2 critical games, North Georgia at home and Clayton State on the road, and we were able to absorb that and come out on top. So it's been really big for us just to have that depth. I mean, we've got 2 6'3" post players in Kayla Langley and Leah Johnson, and they both only play about 20 minutes a game. And on any given night, if one is having a really good night, she might play closer to 25 minutes and probably have a double-double. And we've had a few games where they both had double-doubles. And I think it just makes us really hard to prepare for. Most teams in our conference, they have 2 or 3 players that you can really key in on in your scouting report and say, okay, if we can limit these 3, then I think that we've got a really good chance. And I think it's just hard to do that with our team because you have so many people that can get in double figures and so many just different threats, whether it's inside in our post or, we've got depth at our 4 players and, different point guards and just different lineups that we can put out there.
Absolutely. I remember Destiny Garrett had a big game the night I was there. She handles the ball really well. She'll get in there and mix it up. You got the 2 big post players, Leah Johnson and Kayla down low. So you kind of got it all at every position and depth everywhere. Hey, another one of our sponsors, Hannah, is somebody that's really, really supportive of GSW, and that is Will Peterson. Will Peterson is with One Digital Solutions, and they are a steward of business growth and personal development. Their insurance, financial, and HR platforms provide you with a personalized tech-enabled solution for its contemporary work-life experience. One Digital resolves real problems for your business and your employees. They do that by fusing together things like HR, employee benefits, and financial services. It's really everything all in one. It's One Digital. Contact our friend Will Peterson at 229-347-6289. One Digital is a proud sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Well, we've learned a little bit about Hana Haden's coached teams this year. One of those things is a suffocating defense, Hannah. Very, very impressive with the way they really get after the basketball. Has that always kind of been something that's been a signature of yours as a coach?
Yeah, I would say so. I've always been a very defensive-minded coach. We're just of the mindset that defense travels. Defense never has a bad shooting night. So we say, you can always take your defense on the road with you. And I think it's been really big for this team. I would say one area that I've probably grown in as a coach is like, we want to be defensive minded, but there might be different ways that you have to do it. So, for example, my team last year, we had some post players, but they're a little bit more mobile and more athletic, and we had more length across the board. So we had 6-foot guards, and so last year's team we would press and we would switch everything and try to be disruptive that way. And matchups didn't necessarily matter so much because of the length that we had across the board. And this year our team is a little bit different. Obviously we're not really going to have Kayla Langley and Leah Johnson playing the top of our press. So.
Right.
We go about things a little bit differently, but kind of the same goal is that we want to be disruptive by trying to take the other team's first and second options away. So whether that's their first, their favorite 2 things they like to run or their best 2 players, we just try to find a way to limit those 2 or 3 things. And this group has really bought into it, and it's been a fun style. I think it's contributed to a lot of our offense, when we press and when we create turnovers and things like that, then the pace of that game, our players really enjoy playing at. So we're mixing up our defenses and things like that with this group that I think, in this second half of conference play that we've gotten really good at mixing in zone at different times and mixing up our press a little bit. And so it's been fun, and it always makes it a lot more effective and a lot more fun when your players really buy into it, and they've done a great job with that.
Hey, I've got something that you can tell your ladies as you're practicing. You know, where I sit when I'm calling the ball games is right next to the visitors bench. And the night I was there, you were playing North Georgia, and Coach Buffy called a timeout. And I thought this was a really interesting comment that she made to her team. She said, "We're trying to get dribble penetration, and they're like a bunch of gnats." She said, "We're below the gnat line, and they're acting like gnats. They're all constantly going after the ball, and you've got to keep that ball up and not down low where they can get it." So that, I thought that spoke volumes of what your ladies try to do.
Yeah, we want to be really active. I think it's kind of frustrating to play against. Like, there is some other teams in our league where they're just very active and disruptive, and it bothers us when other people do it to us at times. So yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, Destiny Garrett, Jashanti Simmons. I mean, those are just two really, really active players that just make a lot of things happen for us.
Hannah, you brought in Jaleesa Mitchell as your assistant this year, and watching you two interact during the game, it looks like you guys really work together well. Tell us a little bit about Coach Mitchell and what she brings to your program.
Sure. So Jaleesa Mitchell is somebody that that played for me back at Harris Stowe in 2015, my very first head coaching opportunity, and she was a captain on that team for me. And then we've also worked together for 3 years at the junior college level at Moberly. And so, I mean, gosh, we're coming up on 10 years of knowing each other. We know each other really, really well. And I think that helps us work together really well. I mean, obviously, here at the Division II level, and you've got one full-time assistant, and she's got her hands in every part of this program. She worked with the post players for us at Moberly. So she'd already coached Kayla Langley before, and she works with our post players now. And so I think it's a huge credit to her, that obviously that's a huge part of our identity is our post play. So she does a great job with our player development, working with our post play. She just does a great job scouting reports and helping our team be prepared for every single game, which is a thing that, we take a lot of pride in, and just mentoring our young women, and having somebody just of high character to look up to and the success that she's had and at different levels. She spent the last 2 years at the Division I level. So it means a lot to have her. I have 2 former players on staff, Jaleesa Mitchell, and then our student assistant, Shannon Lies. And so I always think that that's an advantage, to have people that know you really well and have been a part of your program and success, and just able to, kind of, be that person for our players. Like, hey, I've been in your shoes and I've done that. And so I think Jaleesa, when we're talking about the girls and kind of their unselfish mindset, she's been in those shoes before, so when she played for me at Harris Stowe, our best player played the same position that she did. And so sometimes that meant that she didn't get as many minutes, and she was still a captain and able to have an impact on the team. So I think that is just a great example for our young women that are in those same shoes, is that, it's not always about you, it's about the team. And she modeled that as a player. And so she does a really good job of helping to model that as a coach as well.
You and I get a chance to talk every now and then. We talked a little bit about what we would discuss tonight. So one of the things we didn't talk about, I thought about this afternoon as we were preparing to go on. This past weekend, I went with a group of 12 and under girls from our recreation department, an all-star team that had already won a district championship. They went to the state tournament, which is the final 8. They won on Friday night. They won on Saturday morning, got into the final 4, and stumped their toe, got beat, but competed really well. Then I started thinking about Sherry Harris's team over at Sumter County High and the success that she's had. And I thought, Hannah, these girls really probably look up to your girls, the program that you guys are building over at GSW. Talk to me a little bit about the role models that your kids can play.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important, right? That when any young person comes to one of our games, we want them to see strong young women that are competing hard and doing things the right way and being great teammates and, being coachable. And I think that those things are all so important, right? Like, I think if you probably come to any of our games, you can see that sometimes I can have a tendency to coach our players pretty hard. Our expectations are really high. And, I think that translates to life in so many ways, right? Like I have a boss that I have to report to. And I think that my time as a college basketball player helped prepare me for that. Right. Like I know how to receive constructive criticism. And, so I think, it starts with our young women modeling that the right way. And I think we're really fortunate, when you bring in this many people at once, because of course my staff and I, we try to do our homework on these young women that we're bringing in. But when you're bringing in 10 or 11 at one time, sometimes, you don't have just enough time to get to know everyone as well as you might want to if you're only bringing in a regular class of 2 or 3 maybe, so we got really fortunate to just have the character of young women that we have on this team that,
Well,
they
I got to tell you the truth now. I'm just so impressed when I see your ladies at community events like Cowpoke Carnival or helping feed. I saw where they went out and distributed some food. I don't know if that was to the homeless or just people in need. And you've got them out in the community doing things like that. I see these high school girls attending your games, supporting that. Don't know that I've seen a lot of that until here recently. So kudos to you, your staff, Georgia Southwestern, but especially your young ladies.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hannah, as we wrap up today, the last thing I do on every show is I ask my guests about those people that are a strong support for you, whether that's family or friends, but folks that when things are really good, you get to celebrate with. And when things aren't going so good, maybe they're the folks you pick up the phone and say, hey, I need some help. Who are those folks for Hana Haden?
Yeah, so my people have always been my mom and my grandparents. My grandpa is not with us anymore. He passed away in 2020, but he's still somebody that, just his impact that he had on me. I think about him every single day, and just all the conversations that we've had. And just really when we secured the regular season championship, he was the first person that I thought of, and I wanted to call him that entire day. So he's just still somebody that's so important to me. And but still I have my mom and my grandma, and they're just 2 of my biggest supporters and biggest fans. And they're so invested in every team that I coach and these players, and they don't miss a game. So those are definitely the 2 that, of course, on the big wins and then on the tough losses that I can always count on, that are always in my corner. And the rest of my family as well that watch our games and just love seeing the success that we have. And I'm really fortunate to have a lot of friends in the profession that, keep up. And I think that says a lot because we're all so busy during season. So, I know someone that really well is James Frey, and I hear from him almost after every game. And I know that, he's been really, really happy for me. And just to have friends like that, that are in the profession, and they know everything that you put into it. And so they know how great it feels whenever you win, and they also know how bad it feels whenever you lose. So it means a lot to have those kind of people in your corner and that kind of support.
Hey, I'm glad you mentioned James Frey. I talked to James last week and told him you were going to be on here, so I'm sure he's watching today. Also talked with Justin Payne last week, and he's really proud of the success that you're having. So I know those guys are really happy with what's going on here, and you've done a great job. So I want to say this to your mother and to your grandmother. We have fallen in love with Hana Haden here in Americus, and we hope she's here for a while, but she's doing a great job. So you can definitely be proud of her and know that we think a lot of her. So Hana, it's been a lot of fun. Hey, one more thing I want to talk about, since the conference tournament's coming up this week. Tell folks how they can get tickets, when you're playing, kind of the logistics of things they may need to know.
Sure. So you get, and I should know, I know the tickets are $10, and there's a QR link that you can use, or I think you can purchase them online. If not, then they're $10 at the door. But we play at 5:00 on Thursday against Flagler. Assuming we win that, we'll play on, did I say Thursday? Thursday, 5:00, Friday, 7:00.
Okay. All right. So it's been a lot of fun, Hana. Man, you are knocking it out of the park, and we're going to be right there to support you. Folks, get out to the Storm Dome Thursday and Friday. and let's pull these Lady Canes through and get a Peach Belt Tournament championship to go along with their regular season championship. Hana, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for having me.
And we want to thank you, our viewers, for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Let me once again ask you to like and share the video today. We are growing like crazy. We really want to grow even more on YouTube. So go to our YouTube page and hit subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime. Just go on and click subscribe. We don't load you up with notifications. You just get one a week, and that's when we drop a new show. But it's been a lot of fun talking with Coach Hana Haden from Georgia Southwestern State University Lady Hurricanes. Hana, good luck this week, and thanks for being with me today.
Thank you. Go Canes.
Go Canes. For my friend Hana Haden, I'm Tim Estes. Thanks for watching. So